Hi there, I'm Evangeline here at eTrailer. Today we have the Inno Tire Hold HD electric bike rack, and we're going to take a look at how it fits here on our 2021 Kia Sedona. So the Tire Hold HD has been increasing in popularity because it's an upgrade from the older Tire Hold, but now it has more weight capacity and is compatible with an add-on ramp. So if you have extra heavy bikes and you need something that's a little easier to load your bikes onto, this might be a really good option for you without having to pay the premium price that some of the more premium brand names are charging. Now with the Inno Tire Hold, there is one thing that I wish they did better, and that is the tilt away. This sadly has a very shallow tilt. When you pull that lever and you bring this down, that's as far as it goes. So you can see here with our bike, and even before you say, oh, but it's a mountain bike with long handlebars, as we open up our Sedona's hatch door, we don't even get to the handlebars without making contact with the bike. So that is going to be the downside. Now the upside is that you're still able to open it up just a bit where you can still reach into your hatch area and maybe grab some other items like helmets and potentially backpacks. But if you do want full hatch access, what I recommend doing instead is just completely removing your bikes, and then you can open up the door as much as you want. And the good news is removing your bikes is very easy too, because this is a dual wheel mount rack, meaning this secures the bike by the front and the rear wheel, and there's zero frame contact. So even if you have, let's say, a step-through bike, doesn't matter because it's holding onto your bike, not on the frame. Now when you want to remove the bike, you press a lever on the inside. What I do is I press both levers just to give each side a good little nudge, and then from there I can push out on either the arm or this assembly on the bottom. So 1 and 2, and now I can grab the bike and go. If I wanted to completely lower the arm, that is an option, but it does involve just pulling a lever in here and then pushing that out of the way. It does take a little bit more time, but it may be worth it if you have bikes up to 80 pounds. So I'm just gonna grab our bike here, set this on the ground, and I'm going to put this bike away as we take a closer look at the bike rack. Something I'd like you to note are the trays on the inside. I like those smaller grooves for the thinner tires. If I have road bikes, this is a good type of a tray to hold it in because then I know everything is supported. Up top, we have this adjustable cradle, and this can adjust up and down depending on your different tire sizes. If you have fenders, things like that, simply a matter of pushing in and pushing up, and just like it's secured. So compared to some other dual wheel mount racks that require a tool in order to adjust those top cradles, this is very convenient to use. Now, I mentioned 80 pounds per bike, but you do have an overall weight capacity of 150 pounds, so just keep that in mind for your total. Now, with this behind our vehicle, it does take up a little bit of space. So if we measured from our bumper to the end of the bike rack, that's going to be 32 inches. That's something to keep in mind, especially if you have a small garage or need to park into a tight spot, because you're already driving around a slightly larger vehicle. So you may want to remember that this will add even more space behind you. The next measurement is going to be ground clearance. So I do 2 measurements. The first one is from the trays to the ground, and that's going to be 20.5 inches. So that's going to be where your bike sits, and that's not too high up, but again, for those up to 80-pound bikes, you may want to consider a ramp if you don't feel very comfortable with lifting that high up. The next measurement is going to be ground clearance of the bike rack. So end of the bike rack to the ground, 16 inches. Compare that to our hitch, which sits 9 inches up off the ground. So there is a decent shank rise. So if you go up steep inclines like a driveway or a hill, you're less likely to bottom out. If you do bottom out because your front will go up and your back will go down, Fortunately, there is this brace over here that will take that impact for you and won't affect the bikes. So those are all good things when you have a low hitch like what we have on the Sedona. The next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna bring this up into the compact position. Now for bike racks that go up in this 45-degree angle, I always check for if I'm able to open up the hatch or not. Unfortunately, on the Tire Hold HD, we aren't able to fully open up that hatch. So I do recommend just bringing this straight into the fully compact position instead, because this will also take up less space behind your vehicle. So when you measure from the bumper to the end of the rack, that's now at about 10 inches at the back of that knob. So big difference compared to when it was folded down. I always recommend that people have their bike in this bike rack in this position when they're driving around, just because not everyone is gonna see the bike rack when it's in the down position without any bikes on it. And with it folded up like this, while our window and taillights are visible, this does cover our backup camera and our license plate. So if that's going to be a major issue for you, you may want to check out other bike rack options that do license plate relocations. Most 2-bike carriers will cover that backup camera though, so that is something to keep in mind. Definitely get used to relying on your mirrors whenever you're backing up and driving around. With all that being said, this did install into a 2-inch hitch receiver that I actually also installed on our Sedona here today. If you do not yet have a hitch receiver, you can find one custom fit for your vehicle here on our website. Very easy install, by the way. And then once this is in there, you're now able to carry on bikes of different shapes and sizes. So if your priority is a heavy-duty bike rack because you have extra heavy bikes, but you're looking for something where you get the best bang for your buck, that's where the Inno Tire Hold HD comes in handy. But if your priority is something like, let's say, a deeper tilt, so you can get access into your cargo area, or modularity, the next thing that I would recommend is the Ceres MHS with the Duo trace, or even a Duo and then an Uno tray if you don't have that heavy of a second bike. The reason I recommend that is while it is a little bit more premium, that one's also a solid bike rack. It also has the Duo frameless mount design, and that one has a much deeper tilt. So it does depend on what your priorities are. I still think the Tire Hold HD is a solid option for you. Just remember everything about getting into that hatch. Today, this was a look at the Inno Tire Hold HD here on the 2021 Kia Sedona.